Level 0, Secret Archive. Deep night, you open your eyes. The air smells of old paper and ozone from running servers. There are no windows in the room, only humming fluorescent lights on the ceiling. You are sitting at a steel desk. Your hands are shaking. Your knuckles are bruised. On the desk in front of you is a thick cardboard folder labeled Top Secret, Tier 1 Access Only. You open it. Inside is your life, your name, date of birth, places you've been over the last 10 years. But every second line in this document is blacked out with a thick marker. Your heroic deeds blacked out. The people you lost blacked out. Your identity was erased by the government. To the Ministry of Defense, you never existed. Next to the folder lies a heavy tactical pen and a non-disclosure agreement. The price of your silence is a pension and freedom. The price of your truth is maximum security prison for high treason. You spent the best years of your life to become the best in the world, and this is your result. A few pages of black stripes. What do? Sign the document. Accept your invisibility and fade into the crowd, or throw the pen at the wall. Decide to tell the world the truth, even if it destroys you. Choose sin or tell the truth. Level 1. Regular Army Candidate Military Base. Early morning. The smell of diesel fuel, wet asphalt, and cheap Army coffee. You serve in the regular Canadian Armed Forces. Good salary, clear schedule, respect from society, but something gnaws at you inside. Ordinary service is not enough for you. You want to become the tip of the spear. You submit a request for selection to JTF, to Joint Task Force 2, the most secretive special operations unit in the country. Their motto, facta, non-verba deeds, not words. Your commander looks at the request, sighs heavily, and says, "The best go there, and ghosts return." Are you sure? You nod. Phase 1 begins. A grueling pre-selection. They make you run with a 35-kilogram backpack over rough terrain, 20 kilometers, 30, 40. Your feet are rubbed raw and bleeding. People around you start to give up. One by one, they ring the bell, or just sit on the ground, refusing to go any further. In the locker room, taking off your wet boots, you see something strange. On the edge of your soaked insole sits a small snail in a fedora hat. You blink, wiping the sweat from your forehead, and the vision disappears. You write it off as exhaustion. The next morning, a cold water swimming test in full gear. Your muscles cramp, your lungs burn, begging for oxygen. From the shadows by the edge of the pool, a man in a beige trench coat watches you. He thoughtfully clicks a pen. Next to him, on a metal handrail, sits that same snail in a middle. She watches you floundering in the freezing water. This is Detective Jimmy. Jimmy picks up a dropped physical fitness standard form from the wet tiles. Do you know why the selection is so brutal? Jimmy says, quietly, looking at the papers. It's not a test of your muscles. It is a professional identity suppression. The system breaks. Your civilian eye takes your name to build absolute loyalty to the unit in its place. By taking the oath, you cease to exist. If you are not ready to die as a number instead of a name for the guy to your right, you are not needed here. Google Professional Identity Suppression, Military Psychology. Level 2, Selection on the Hildwire Hill Training Center. Pre-dawn gloom. You passed Phase 1. Now you are on the hill, the secret JTF2 training facility in Ontario. There are no names here. You only have a number on your helmet. You are deprived of sleep. for 5 days straight, given complex logical tasks. When your brain is at the stage of shutting down, instructors yell, disorient, make you redo perfect work over and over again. Night, cold, downpour, beats against your face. As part of a group, you must drag a heavy log and boxes of ammunition through a swamp. One of the guys in your team stumbles. He sprained his ankle. He cannot walk. An instructor with a cold face, hidden under a balaclava, looks at your watches. You have 15 minutes to reach the assembly point. Otherwise, the whole team is out. If you carry the wounded comrade and equipment, you will lose speed. You definitely won't meet the standard, and your whole group will fly home. The dream is over. If you leave him here with a flare, he's out. But the rest can run light and pass the selection. What do? Choose, carry your comrade and risk everything, or leave him for the sake of victory. Jimmy stands in the pouring rain, leaning against a tree. The rain leaves no trace on his trench coat. The snail slowly crawls along a compass, dropped by one of the candidates. Welcome to the moral labyrinth. The detective states, what is more important, the mission or the person? This is compartmentalization training. Your brain must learn to instantly turn off empathy and turn on cold calculation. If you can't separate your emotions and orders here, in the mud, you will break in real combat. The snail freezes on the glass of the compass, completely covering the direction needle. Google, psychological compartmentalization, special forces, level 3, tier 1 operator, Middle East, unknown location, deep night, you passed. You got the tan beret. You are a JTF2 assaulter, a tier 1 operator. You are sent where regular troops cannot officially go. No insignia on the uniform, no flag patches, sterile weapons. In case of failure, the government will disown you that very second. Night operation, clearing a compound where a terrorist cell leader is hiding. A Black Hawk helicopter drops your team on the roof in pitch darkness. You work through night vision goggles. Movements are honed to the millimeter. Breached door, flashbang, short pops from suppressed weapons. The target is neutralized in 40 seconds, but when the lights come on, you see what you weren't trained for. In the corner of the room, huddled under a table, sit the target's elderly parents and wife. They are not terrorists. They are just people caught in the epicenter of your assault. In their eyes is absolute animal terror. To them, you are not a hero from the Canadian news. To them, you are a faceless demon from the darkness. Who destroyed their lives? Your pulse pounds in your ears. The snail sits on the shards of a broken porcelain cup next to a body. She slowly moves her antennae, examining this ruined room. By the way, if you made it to this level, it means you value not just action, but psychology and true depth. YouTube algorithms usually bury such complex videos in favor of light entertainment content. Your single like and subscription is a signal to the system that smart content must live. Make that click right now. This is our shared mission. Moving on. Back at the base, you sit in the shower. The water washes away the dust and sweat, but you can't wash away that look. You executed the order perfectly, saved hundreds of lives by neutralizing the threat. But a part of you stayed in that room. Jimmy stands by the sink in the barracks. In his hands is the report of the successfully completed operation. Moral injury, Jimmy says quietly, flipping through the report. This is not PTSD. With PTSD, you are afraid you will be killed. With moral injury, you cannot forgive yourself for what you did, even if it was a lawful order. Your core human morality collides with the reality of war, and this conflict tears the psyche apart from the inside. Google moral injury in combat veterans, Level 4, Assault Team Commander Operations Center, at dusk, 10 years of service. Your body is worn out. Your spine aches from constantly wearing heavy armor. You've lost count of deployments. Your wife filed for divorce because you were never home. And when you returned, you stared blankly. Now you are a team commander. The lives of your men are in your hands, tracking a high-value target, an arms dealer supplying extremists. You are conducting covert surveillance from a drone. The target gets into a car. The convoy is ready for interception. But at the last second, 2 unarmed volunteer doctors from an international humanitarian mission get into the car. The arms dealer is using them as a human shield. This changes everything. Rules of engagement strictly forbid a strike if there is a confirmed risk of casualties. Among international humanitarian workers, command on the radio demands the operation be aborted. Fall back. Risk is too high. But you know this target. If you let him go now, he will cross the border in 20 minutes. And tomorrow, the weapons he sold will take dozens of lives of innocent people in a square. Perhaps among them will be Canadian citizens. You have a tactical window of 30 seconds to order your snipers to shoot the engine block and stop the car by force. This will violate a direct order from above. During a forceful interception, the volunteer doctors in the car might die. You will face a court-martial, but if you abort the operation, you will single-handedly allow a terrorist attack to happen tomorrow. What do? Take responsibility, violate the order, and stop the convoy, risking the lives of the doctors in the car and your freedom. Or follow protocol, retreat into the shadows, and let the terrorist go, knowing how many people he will kill tomorrow. Choose, violate order, or follow protocol. Jimmy sits in a dark corner of the operations center, looking at the blinking drone monitors. The Snail slowly crawls along a red communication wire. Double-bind trap, the detective says harshly. No-win situation. Higher command always shifts moral responsibility to those in the field. They write clean, beautiful rules in warm offices, and you have to make dirty decisions in the dust. If you break protocol to save people, they will make you the scapegoat. The Snail freezes on the communication abort button. Google double-bind theory, psychology, Level 5. Veteran Ghost Ordinary Supermarket, Canada, noon. You are no longer in JTF2. Your contract is over. You have returned to the normal world. You stand in the cereal aisle of a bright, noisy supermarket in Ottawa. People with carts walk around. Upbeat music plays. But your brain didn't return. You scan every person in the aisle. That guy over there in the jacket has his hands in his pockets. Maybe there's a weapon. The woman with the stroller blocked the exit. It's a bottleneck, a tactical trap. The sound of a dropped can in the next aisle makes you instinctively tense up and reach for your belt. But there is no gun there. You are suffocating from sensory overload. An ordinary trip for bread turns into a combat operation. And when you come home, you open your mail. You requested your military records. To get medical benefits, you pull a thick cardboard folder from the envelope. It is the very same folder. All your medical reports about concussions and injuries are blacked out with a marker, classified. The state for which you destroyed your psyche refuses to officially recognize your pain, so as not to reveal details of secret operations. You are completely alone. Jimmy stands by the kitchen table, looking at the black stripes in your document. The snail sits on your dog tag. Institutional betrayal, Jimmy says quietly. Worse than an enemy's bullet is the knife from the system you protected. When a structure that demands absolute loyalty from you suddenly turns into a soulless bureaucracy, the moment you stop being useful to it, Jimmy turns toward the doorway. Let's go. We need to go to the archive. This code needs to be cracked. The snail points her antennae into the darkness of the hallway. 5 levels. A decade in the shadows. The highest echelon of special forces is not a Hollywood movie where heroes ride off into the sunset. It is a meat grinder that takes the best people of the nation, squeezes everything human out of them to protect society, and then demands they just pretend nothing happened. But sometimes the hardest mission is not dropping from a helicopter. It is trying to become an ordinary person again. The archives are open. Archive, secret room. At dusk, Jimmy sits at a steel desk. The only source of light is a dim desk lamp. The snail sits on a folder marked Top Secret. Jimmy opens the first document. Phenomenon 1. OATH. Bound identity suppression. There is a ritual they don't talk about at parades, Jimmy says. He holds a nameless dog tag, just a number, no name. When a JTF2 operator takes the oath, he, legally and psychologically, gives the state the right to determine who he is. Name, biography, face. It all becomes a state secret. Researcher Don McHale calls this professional erasure. A person doesn't just change jobs. He signs a contract stating that he ceases to exist as a public figure. The dog tag with a number is not a symbol. It is a replacement for a passport. Psychological first aid. If you feel that an organization or role has consumed your identity so much that you cannot answer the question, who am I outside of this work? That is a signal. Many specialists recommend the name without a title. Practice once a week. Spend an hour surrounded by people who know you only by your name, not by your title. Google professional identity suppression, military secrecy, psychology. Phenomenon 2. Moral injury. Jimmy takes out a photograph with the blurred faces of civilians. The snail slowly crawls along the edge of the photo, as if avoiding looking at the faces. This is the most terrible wound that surgeons do not treat, Jimmy says. Moral injury occurs when a person commits, fails to prevent, or witnesses actions that violate their deep moral beliefs. Unlike PTSD, which is based on fear, moral injury is based on guilt and shame. Psychological first aid. Guilt loves silence. You can only get rid of moral injury through radical confession. Find a specialist or support group and talk through what you did, realizing that in that moment you had no other choice because of the system. Lifts the burden. Google moral injury versus PTSD, LITS. Phenomenon 3. Compartmentalization. Jimmy picks up a black tactical folder and snaps the steel lock shut on it with a loud click. A special operator cannot think about his family. When clearing a room, he creates deaf, isolated compartments in his head. In one compartment, he is a machine. In another, a loving father. But the problem is that these doors eventually stop closing. The darkness from one compartment starts leaking into another, destroying relationships and trust. Psychological first aid. Establish a transition ritual. The psyche needs a physical marker for the end of work. Take off your uniform or worksuit. Take a shower. Change into something soft. This physical process gives the brain a signal. The danger zone is left. The doors of empathy can be opened. Google psychological compartmentalization coping mechanism. Phenomenon for hypervigilance. A receipt from a regular supermarket falls out of the folder. The snail freezes on the receipt. Her antennae tense like radar sensors. A state of constant, exhausting threat scanning. In combat, this saves your life. The brain notices a misplaced stone or a strange look, but in a supermarket, this system does not turn off. The nervous system burns out from the constant release of cortisol, because the brain sees enemies in ordinary shoppers. Psychological first aid. The 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. If panic hits you in a crowd, name aloud 5 things you can see, like a shelf or a lamp. 4 things you can touch, like your jacket or a cart. 3 sounds. 2 smells. This physically reboots the amygdala in your brain and reduces anxiety. Google hypervigilance, sympathetic nervous system overload. Phenomenon 5. Institutional betrayal. Jimmy closes the last folder with the black markers. The snail touches the black painted-over stripe on the paper and slowly crawls away. Jennifer Freyd coined this term. Jimmy says, it is a specific trauma that occurs when an institution like the army, a corporation, or the church, upon which a person depends, betrays their trust. Redacted documents. Denial of medical care for the sake of secrecy. A person doesn't just lose a job. They lose their basic trust in the fairness of the world. Psychological first aid. Stop looking for justice from the system that broke you. You won't prove to a machine that you are in pain. Shift your focus to building new horizontal connections. Veteran communities, colleagues in the field, protect each other. Google institutional betrayal trauma. Jennifer Freyd. Jimmy stands up from the desk, puts on his hat, adjusts the collar of his trench coat. The snail hops onto his shoulder. 5 phenomena, the detective says. 5 black stripes on your personal file. No civilian will ever know what price the ghosts pay. Who guard their sleep. They are given medals they cannot wear, and scars that cannot be healed. Jimmy pauses. I am just a detective, not a doctor or a therapist. If anything from this archive resonated with you personally, seek out a specialist. They know more than I do. He turns to the camera. If you want us to keep pulling the truth out of these archives, you know what to do. This was the Detective Jimmy and Snail channel. See you in the shadows. The lights go out. The snail is the last thing visible in the dark. Her antennae slowly lower.
Author's note: hello. When people talk about special forces, we usually imagine tough guys from video games, kicking indoors to heavy rock music. JTF2, Delta SEALs. We only see their gear and their coolness. But while working on this script, I read interviews with real Tier 1 operators. And do you know what the scariest part is? The scariest part doesn't happen during the gunfights. It starts afterward, when the silence presses on your eardrums in an empty apartment. But this video isn't just about the military. Look at these psychological traps. Do you recognize yourself in them? Institutional betrayal. How many times have corporations where you slaved away 80 hours a week fired you with a single cold email from HR to save the budget? Compartmentalization. How many of us return from work so drained that we turn into cold robots, unable to listen to our own child? The system always demands that you give it all of yourself without a trace. And when you break, it simply blacks out your line with a thick marker. and hires a new candidate. Don't let your job become your entire identity. Whoever you are, a special operator, a programmer, or a teacher, I desperately want to hear your opinion. Have you faced institutional betrayal at your job? Go to the community tab on our Detective Jimmy and Snail channel. There is already a poll posted for this episode, and I read every comment. Take care of yourself and your psyche. No system is worth your sanity. This was the Detective Jimmy and Snail channel. See you in the shadows.